Hi, my name is Flat Piper, and I'm going to tell you about the 2 weeks I spent touring the Southeast United States with my Aunt Rose and my Uncle Scott. They just got married this year, and I was a flower girl at their wedding. Anyway, after I became Flat Piper, my mommy and daddy mailed me to Aunt Rose's house in Conway, South Carolina. She lives in a house there with Uncle Scott. They both work at the university, and I spent a week with them there. For the first few days of that week, I went to work with them. I learned all about their jobs and met all of the interesting people they work with at the university. On Wednesday, they took me to a softball game. It was cold, but we had fun. Those girls really know how to play softball. I might like to play that game one day. On Thursday, they took me to a baseball game. It was cold again, but we won the game, so it was fun. Then on Friday, Uncle Scott played in a softball game that Aunt Rose put together for a fundraiser. She taught me that a fundraiser is an event that raises money for a good cause, like a charity. The game was fun, but Uncle Scott's team lost. That's okay though, because that means Aunt Rose's team won, and they raised a lot of money. Everybody had a great time, and all the players taught me about something called sportsmanship. That means you don't get mad if you lose, and you don't try to make the other team feel bad if they win. Later that night, Uncle Scott played guitar in his rock band, and Aunt Rose took me to see the show. Uncle Scott introduced me to the band before the show. Then he even brought me up on the stage while they were playing. I think they sounded pretty good.
My niece, my flat niece from Virginia is here visiting. This is Flat Piper. She's here for a visit, and she'll be here with us for about a week. So everybody say hi to Flat Piper, everybody.
On Saturday, we went to a practice football game. I met the mascot and watched the game with Uncle Scott. He really likes football. Then on Sunday, we went to my Nana's house for dinner, and my Uncle James and my Aunt Beth were there too with my cousin Owen. We had a great time. I love Nana. We started the second week at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Because of all the recent tornado activity, we decided I should travel in a box for my own safety. Uncle Scott was giving a presentation, so while he was working, Aunt Rose and I explored the campus. We went to the football museum and to the football stadium. These Crimson Tide people really like their football. After we left Tuscaloosa, we traveled south to visit Auburn University in Auburn, Alabama. I think this is Uncle Scott's favorite place in the whole world. He went to school here and he couldn't wait to show us around. We went to Toomer's Corner to see the famous trees and walked around the campus until we got to the football stadium. Auburn's mascot is the tiger, but they don't say "Go Tigers" at football games. They say "War Eagle." I don't understand it, but we sure said it a lot. I had such a good time in Auburn and I was sad to leave. Hopefully I'll get to come back someday, maybe as a student. War Eagle. Did I say that right, Uncle Scott? Next up was Charlotte, North Carolina. Aunt Rose had to go there for work, so we dropped Uncle Scott off back home and made the trip together, just us girls. Aunt Rose was so busy that we didn't get to see much but the hotel. But I sure learned a lot about science from Dr. Roberts, literature from Dr. Osborne, and politics from Dr. Tankersley. We had done so much traveling for work that we decided it was time for a little vacation in Charleston, South Carolina. One of my Aunt Rose's favorite things to do is to go to hockey games, so we watched the South Carolina Stingrays play. I've never been to a hockey game before. We got to sit right on the glass, and I got to meet Cool Ray, the team's mascot. It was great. The next morning we got up and went downtown to the South Carolina Aquarium. We saw so many different kinds of fish. plus alligators, snakes, turtles, and even birds. The turtles were my favorite. The aquarium is right on the Charleston harbor, so we went outside and watched the ships in the water. Did you know the first shot of the Civil War was fired right around here somewhere? The last stop on our whirlwind tour of the Southeast was Atlanta, Georgia. It kind of feels like we're going in circles. We weren't going to be in Atlanta very long, so our only stop was Turner Field. We went to an Atlanta Braves baseball game. Uncle Scott bought me a big soft pretzel, and he bought some sushi for Aunt Rose. She wanted me to try it, but it was too soon after our trip to the aquarium to eat raw fish. I rooted for the home team and was so glad when they won. When we got back to Conway, I was a little sad because I knew it was almost time for me to leave. I'm going to miss Aunt Rose and Uncle Scott so much. But Aunt Rose told me I was going to see Aunt Jessie and Uncle Keith in New York, so that made me happy. She wasn't sure, but Aunt Rose thought Aunt Jessie was planning to take me to Alaska with her. Guess we'll have to wait and see. Goodbye, Aunt Rose and Uncle Scott. It's been so much fun.